Jack, how are you, brother?
How's it going, Chris, mate? Good to be back. Good to be
Yes,
speaking to you, mate.
yes, it is nice, mate. It is nice. I've really been looking forward to this chat. Before we go any further, and before I even introduce you, massive hello to our friends at home. I'm just going to play you the video that our wonderful podcast manager and editor Luke did. So if I can cue this up, right, let's get this going.
A few people go, yeah, but surely there's a boat that you get onto and you sleep on that and then you get back on the rowing boat. And I'm like, no. That first 6 miles, I was like, I've got this in the bag, you know? And then people always go, oh, what was the hardest bit of the 30 miler? And I always go, the last 24 miles. No one can go, you took the easy route, you know? And, you know, you've got to work for them, you've got to get after them, but then, you know, the harder the battle, the sweeter the victory, they say.
Boom, there we go. Oh, it's playing again. There we go, let's get rid of that. Jack, massive welcome. So, friends at home, Jack Jarvis, 5'9" Commando, Royal Engineers, has smashed the record books by rowing. It's from Portugal to Florida, Jack, wasn't it?
Yes, correct, mate. So pretty amazing. 111 days at sea, 4,630 nautical miles, and I'm the first person to go from mainland Europe to mainland North America. So yeah, should have my certificate in the next couple of days. So yeah, Guinness World Record, all official. So yeah, pretty awesome, mate.
Good. You should also get the Guinness World Record for being the second most essence person on this podcast. There you go.
I don't know who's the first, mate, because it's definitely not you, Chris.
I've got no idea, mate. No, I'll just make this up as I go along.
Don't worry, mate. I'm cuffing it as well.
So, were you thinking of your dear granddad because you rowed brain in to raise funds for Brain Trust, and that's
Yes.
something close to your heart?
Yeah, that is very true. So I did the row sort of in memory, name a boat after my granddad Budgie. And I in turn raised money for Brains Trust, which is a brain tumour charity based in the UK. And at the moment, we are just shy of £70,000, which is absolutely amazing. Never thought I'd raise £10,000, let alone 70. So yeah, it's that money's really going to help people. And I know people are always a little bit dubious about charities, but speaking to Will, their CEO, they've doubled the amount of people they're helping every month since December. So it's not just the money that's helped the charity out, it's also the profile. Their profile's been raised. So yeah, makes it all worthwhile. And, you know, if I could spend 111 days at sea, you know, and it seems like a small sacrifice if I can help such an amazing charity.
Well, we'll come on and talk about that because I don't know about small. I don't think small comes into this equation because I was utterly blown away. It made me love life even more to know how much effort you were putting in, because it's beyond human endeavor. You know, anyone can you know, you row across the Atlantic, not belittling that challenge. Many people have done it, and that's incredible in itself. But bloody hell, over 100 days on your own. But before we talk about that, let's just say a big thank you to everyone who donated to you and who supported
100%.
Supported you along the route, because people are very kind, aren't they?
Yeah, and it's Chris, funny you should say that. So people said, "Oh, I don't know how you kept going," but you know, so many people donated money. Best mate gave like 300 quid. So many people gave so much money. And my amazing sponsors that enabled me to get to the start line. So big thank you to all of them guys as well. But you know, I'd get maybe a text through or a message through saying, "Oh, so and so's donated 100 quid," and I might be feeling sorry for myself. But as soon as I saw that, I was like, well, I better stop, sat in the cabin, being a big girl's blouse. I need to get out there and get rowing. So, the money, people giving donating that money held me accountable. So yeah, big thank you to everyone.
Yes, absolutely. It's I think it's great when you do things like this, Jack, because I think people maybe live vicariously through it. People that maybe haven't had the chance to do that sort of thing in their own life, or possibly don't have the get up and go to do it, but through social media they can join you on the journey and really feel like a part of it.
Yeah, no, and I definitely sort of agree with that to an extent. And I did want to inspire people, as many people as I could. I had a good message when I was half out there. My mate Nick Bloomfield, he was like, "Oh, watching you do that has just made me sign up for a half Ironman." So that was cool. But yeah, if I could inspire a few people, hopefully, because I do believe people have got it physically, they just need to unlock it mentally, and that's what it's all about.
Why don't you row it again, and then you'll maybe we'll do a full Ironman?
Yeah, I sort of, because it's taken so long to get the boat back. I'm sort of wishing I'd have just got the boat up to New York and rowed it back. That would have been pretty awesome. But yeah, but potentially, I'll have to get onto him. There was talk about me and him doing a full Ironman next year, so I need to have a word with him.
Yes, I've had a little bit of experience of that. I failed my first triathlon. I think we might have talked about this last time. I failed my first triathlon. Well, I say I failed. How can you fail? Taking part is the main thing. But my little boy was on the finish line going, "Where's my daddy? Why is my daddy last?" So I come last in my first ever triathlon. And at the finish line, I thought, right, in 8 weeks' time, I'll do a quadruple Ironman.
Yeah.
And it's not, folks at home, I'm not bigging myself up. You can, or as long as you're relatively able-bodied, anyone can do this kind of stuff. But
100%.
It's been able to turn that switch and find out what the human body and the human mind is capable of. And you certainly did that, Jack. I mean, how many days at sea?
111, yeah. So in that time, I battled a lot, chafing on my ass, hunger, dehydration, because I didn't get my nutrition right, really. I should have taken a lot more food to have per day, so, the first, it was only really the last sort of 15 days, 2 weeks, I could start to enjoy the food because I knew I was going to make it and I wouldn't need all my rations. But yeah, I was certainly hungry. Saw some great sights, marlin, sharks, whales, dolphins, loads of fish. It was pretty cool. Saw a lot of rubbish as well. So make sure you bin your rubbish, right? Don't chuck your plastic on the floor, because unfortunately I did see a bit of that. But yeah, it was an amazing experience, mate. And if I can inspire just, one person, that would mean the world to me, without getting too deep.
Yes, no, mate, you've done way more than that, mate, and massive congratulations to you. The rubbish is a funny thing. When I worked in what we used to call developing countries. We're not supposed to call them that anymore, but when I think it was Mozambique, I was working, and I was on a boat. We'd done some sort of trip, and I remember I finished this bottle of water. And I looked at the boat guide, and I was like gesturing to him, like, "Mate, what do I, where's your rubbish bin?" And he looked at me like I was stupid, and just threw it overboard.
Yeah.
So it's incredible that I recommend to anybody to watch it. There's a documentary on Netflix at the moment. It's called Solar something. It's about these two Norwegian lads. They take themselves off for a winter on this isolated beach in the north of Norway, and they surf. They build themselves a cabin, and they surf through the. It's an incredible documentary, right? And they made it their mission to clean up the beach, and they cleaned up something like 8 tons of plastic.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yes.
Also, how cold was that water in the north of Norway in winter?
Yes. Yes, they were having to fill up their wetsuit gloves with like boiling water, boiling it in the kettle, and boiling
Yeah.
to defrost their gloves. I really, really, I love that. I love that kind of story. But back to your story. What is the most asked question that you get asked? And then I'm going to ask that one.
Most probably off lads. How many wanks did you have? But another one. Did you not get bored? I get that a lot. Or another common one is, why didn't you just take a rest?
Oh yes, and I bet that's an annoying one to keep getting asked.
Yeah, it's a funny one because at first people would be like, oh yeah, surely a rest day would be nice. But the problem is, you have a rest day, you're not going anywhere for a start. You're not getting closer to finishing your goal, and also sitting in the cabin is incredibly boring, and it's not a nice place to be. And it's hot, stuffy, damp, mold as well starts to grow if you spend too much time in there. So yeah, the rest days were pretty. The days where I had to rest, i.e., the wind was too strong to row into, were probably some of the worst days. In fact, and another one as well. Did you get big storms? I get asked that a lot. But the worst days for me, weather-wise, were when there'd be no wind. It was boiling hot. No wind to cool you down. No wind to help you move the boat. You got to do it all yourself. It feels like you're rowing through custard. So those were the worst days weather-wise for me.
I bet you got asked a lot. How did you go to the toilet?
Yeah, so in a black bucket, £24 off some website, came from China, no creature comforts. So yeah, that was quite an enjoyable thing. That first nice poo on a bit of porcelain was very nice.
Did you take army rations?
No, so I bought my rations from companies like Firepot Food, Expedition Foods, Active Eats, Real Termat. So I had loads of variety. They're freeze dried and they're actually pretty good. Most of them about 1,000 calories. So yeah, certainly come a long way from corned beef hash, mate, which me and you know all too well.
Yes, on our recent exped, because as you know, because you very kindly had me on your show the other night, we're friends at home. I'm going to break the world record for staying on Rockall, which is a remote island, a tiny little rock in the North Atlantic. And as part of our training, myself and Cam Cameron, hello Cam, who's the expedition leader who came up with the idea.
Cam Cameron?
Yes, Cam, no surprise there, Cam Cameron. And Nobby, hello Nobby, who's our radio operator. We went to a rock in Cornwall and we stayed on there, and we actually had military rations, and they're not freeze dried. They're actually just in the bag rations, so they're already
wet rations.
Wet rations. And yeah, it's interesting in the difference, because obviously they're a lot heavier because they're already hydrated. On the other hand, I reckon you get a better meal, a better taste. Am I right, Jack, or is it?
I honestly think the freeze dried ones are really good now. So much choice, so much variety. So I wouldn't, as long as you put enough water in, they're absolutely. I think they're good to go, mate, to be honest. I mean, don't get me wrong, the wet rations are a nice treat, because the texture is very similar with freeze-dried rations. So, yeah, they are a nice treat. I'd take a mix, take a mix.
Did you have any fresh to start off with?
Yeah. So watermelon, a few bananas, a few oranges, a few apples. That lasts about 3 weeks. Another one for you as well, take wraps. So that's just another way to bulk your rations out, and they'll last about 2-3 weeks.
What, wraps of Coke? Sorry, I didn't.
Hey, I wouldn't know anything about that, mate. Do you know what I mean? I never knew that. No, tortilla wraps. So another brilliant trick. All right. So hazelnut spread, smother that on there, and then put a Kinder Bueno in the middle, mate.
Wow.
Yeah, that's living right there, mate. That's living.
It's funny, actually, we mentioned substances. There's a great video on YouTube. The chap's name, it might come to me. Let me move on. But anyway, there's a great military guy on YouTube, and he highlighted the story of this Japanese. Was it Japanese or was it German? Or was it no? I think he was a Russian soldier. And in the Second World War, in a moment of sort of desperation, he necked a whole pot of like this dexedrine, this amphetamine they used to issue to troops.
Yeah, yeah.
And the guy went straight into psychosis, and he didn't stop, like, moving forward for it was something like 10 days. He was just storming through enemy positions, and they didn't know, like, who's this random guy on a pair of skis just blitzing through. Sorry, mate, I digress.
No, it's fine, mate. It's interesting. I love stories, mad stories like that.
There's just so much fascinating stuff to in life to talk about. Life's too short.
No, you're 100% right, man. I love mad stories like this, and I used to use those mad stories, mate, about like geezers that survived in life rafts during the Second World War for like 30 days, like with nothing, absolutely nothing, and then get captured by the Japanese, mate. So yeah, it's, I mean, all these like mad stories certainly helped me get through the row.
Yeah, I love those stories as well. Stephen Callahan, 76 Days Adrift.
Yeah.
It was, again, there's a great story on Netflix at the moment. Can't remember the name of it, but 3 downed aircrew. I think they're in like off Bermuda or somewhere, or it may have been the Far East. But it's amazing with like literally almost nothing on you, how ingenious you can become to survive.
Yeah, 100%, mate, 100%. I mean, not much went wrong in my boat, thank God. But yeah, if it had done, you're completely out there alone. You've got to fix it yourself, which probably worried my mum a lot because she knows I'm not the handiest of people. However, I did change my my oil filter on my car the other day. That was a great win for me.
Mate, that's not a bad effort, because that's that is quite technical.
Yeah, yeah. Well, people say, "Oh, Jack, world record holder, like." How do you maintain that high? I'll tell you how you maintain that high: by changing your oil filter on your car and saving yourself 80 quid.
Yes. And running across the road without pushing the pedestrian button.
Yeah. Nutella wrap, changing your oil filter, running across the road without pressing the button. That's how you live, mate.
What was the biggest challenge what was the biggest problem you had?
So it probably changes, at the start it was definitely the loneliness, Chris. And then sort of as you stay out there, you've done 10 days, 2 weeks, you just get used to it, mate. So then it just becomes food, you start to crave more and more. But I would say that personally, the toughest thing was just the length of it, 111 days, 14 hours a day, every day was tough, man.
And did that mean when you got a message from David Beckham, that made it all the more better?
Yeah, it did, mate. That was absolutely awesome, to get a message from like Bex to Steve Redgrave, Johnny Wilkinson and loads of other celebs was really cool. But I'd always say, mate, like getting, £10 donation off someone you've never ever met before. Someone's just like, oh, heard you on TalkSport, really inspired me. So here's 20 quid. That meant more to me than the celebrity shout outs.
Yes, good you mention it. And what happened to the boat? What's that doing now? Because they're a mean bit of kit, aren't they? And they're not cheap.
They are, yes. So hopefully I'll get that back soon, and then start training, get that shipped out, I don't know, to somewhere in the Far East and row across the Indian Ocean.
Ah, okay. What has somebody bought it or commissioned it?
No, I might just take it out and do another crossing in it.
Oh, you're going to? Oh.
Yeah, potentially. I mean, why not? You know?
Yes, I'm just, mate, while we're talking, sorry if I appear distracted. I'm just showing people your Instagram pictures.
Yeah, Jack Jarvis Official on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook as well, Jack Jarvis. Please give us a like, give us a follow, because I'm running a marathon as well in September that we spoke about the other day. Training to well for that, another 15K in the bag today. Feeling good. Just got some CBD oil from 4-5. So yeah, looking forward to testing that out as well. So yeah,
Good
exciting
effort.
times coming.
Yes, yeah, well, you've got to keep it going now, or your life will...
How's your prep going for the Rockall stay?
It's going well.
Yeah.
It's a big old challenge, you know, and the logistics are quite a consideration. Just trying to get a boat that will take you 300 miles into the North Atlantic. Then you've got to get all your kit, your sleeping arrangement, your radio gear, survival gear, rations, up a rock in what could potentially be a 10-meter swell.
Yeah.
It's a big thing. The fuel alone is going to cost a fortune.
Yeah.
So anybody watching, if you know anyone that can help us out there, some people have done it by helicopter, but I think because of the range of a helicopter, you've got to have it like a ship-based helicopter. So I think Greenpeace had a ship-based helicopter, and
Yeah.
they brought the ship up, then the chopper ferried them, you know, transited them across. But no, we're firing on it, mate. You know, we're going as fast as we can. Since I've been aboard, we've been getting all our social media, you know, cemented in, because that's obviously the probably your most important foundation.
Yeah.
Before you even talk about transport and fuel and food and whatever, you've got to have your kind of your media platform in place.
Yeah. 100%.
We have to go down at some point. We've left our land pod on this rock in Cornwall. We had to leave it there because we were asked by the company that got us off the rock, look, could you just leave everything, because the weather, the swell was kicking up, the wind was kicking up, and they obviously they from their perspective, they wanted to get us off safely.
Yeah.
But it's left us with the challenge of getting our pod back, and it's full of kit because we just left everything that wasn't crucial, put a wetsuit on, and we jumped into the sea and swam to the
swam to the boat.
Yeah, swam to the boat, or swam to a jet ski which took us to the boat. But yeah, it's interesting times. I haven't really considered the magnitude of it, Jack, if you know what I mean, and I don't think I ever will. I think I just crack on with it.
Yeah.
But you know, you talk about, I mean, I'll be there with Cam. There'll be Nobby, our radio guy, will stay there a couple of days to do his ham radio bit. He'll break a few world records there by actually even being on Rockall and broadcasting with a radio. It's got its own call sign.
Yeah.
Cam and I will then be left to break the world record. And as much as you say boredom on your own, the other side of the coin is, you know, to be with another human being literally on a platform, a small shelf of rock, for what essentially is going to be 2 months.
Yeah, mate. No, it's tough. And people, you know, ask me, oh, how come you did it on your own? And I said, well, you know, if you do it on your own, you've got no one to argue about. If something doesn't happen, it's because of you. You've got no one else to blame. Whereas there's like a team of 4, pairs, 3s, 5s, whatever, you know, a lot of team dynamics you've got to get right there. So yeah, there are pros to doing it solo, mate.
Yes, mate. I'm just going to keep firing in here because there's stuff that people are seeing at home. So the letter on behalf of the Prime Minister, can you tell us about that?
Well, the soon-to-be ex-Prime Minister, yeah. So I got a letter from Boris Johnson, which was really cool. Well, signed by him, just saying well done. So that was pretty awesome as well when I finished. Could have given me a shout out before, mind. That probably would have helped get some corporate sponsorship. So, yeah.
And you're in the water in this picture here of you with your mask and snorkel on. Was that cleaning the barnacles off the boat?
Cleaning the bottom of the boat, yeah. So people, would ask, how come you got off? Do you get off the boat? It's not like a break. It was literally, business. Get it off, clean the barnacles off, and it can increase your speed by about 1 knot. And where my average speed was 1.8 knots, it certainly makes a big difference.
Yes, I bet. You don't want to get clogged down, do you?
No, not at all.
And of course, the big question: what was it like arriving in whereabouts in Florida did you arrive?
So a place called Stewart. So landed in Florida, and it was absolutely amazing. To see all my friends, family there. My best mate was crying. Sorry for stitching you up there, Connor Wolf. It was amazing. Oh yeah, I can't explain that feeling to be successful, to get the world record. Pure euphoria, and to go out, plan something for 18 months, and then grind it out and earn it for 111 days. It wasn't even 111 days; it was all the planning as well. It's better than any materialistic thing I've ever bought. Any experience on, anything pure fulfillment and joy.
And a more serious question: have you got Laura Woodsy's phone number?
I haven't, unfortunately. A big thank you to Laura Woods and Sam at TalkSport for getting me on. They were brilliant with their support, mate. Can't fault them. And I'd often get messages from my team saying, "Oh, someone's donated," and the capture would be, "Heard you on TalkSport, mate. Absolutely amazing." In fact, funny story, when we were in Miami, went to see the Miami Heat game, bumped into this guy at the bar, and he said, to my best mate, he's like, "Oh, what are you doing here?" So our mate Jack's just rowed it. He's from Portugal. And he was like, "Is he the guy off TalkSport, the rower?" And I said, yeah, that was me. So because I met that guy in Miami, so that was awesome.
What was it like getting your hair cut here then?
Nice, real nice. Nice to get a beard off. I definitely think I prefer myself without a beard. Need to sort this out as well because it's getting pretty long. So yeah.
Oh mate, if ever I want a fresh start to the day or the week or my life, I just get the clippers out and I have a man, what do they call it? Man manicure.
Man manicure, yeah.
Yes, there's a picture of you here looking incredibly different. And how did you find Florida? Is that your first time you've been there?
No, I've been there before. Once with work. And then once a couple of times with my family, doing the Disney parks and stuff like that. So yeah, really cool. Loved it. Americans were absolutely blown away by the challenge. They didn't really believe it. They're like, "Oh my God, wait a second, you did what?" So it was epic. It was absolutely epic. The food was incredible as well. What a place to finish, yeah.
Yeah, we should give a shout out to our American brothers and sisters. They're wonderful, wonderfully kind people. I enjoyed Florida. I learned to fly and learned to skydive in Florida and had a bloody great time there. And what was it like then? I'm just looking at you coming in with a flare. I bet that was a moment you thought about in your head.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, mate, incredible, mate. Absolutely incredible.
Yes.
That gets you through the tough days, mate, when you're there, flare in hand. Phenomenal.
Were your family here?
Yeah, they were all there. Mum, stepdad, grandma, little brother, cousins, aunties, should I say. Yeah, it was. I honestly, man, I can't describe it. It was so intense those last couple of days, last 6 hours. So yeah, just absolutely pure joy, mate, and fulfillment in its absolute purest form.
Oh, mate, must have been to see your family. Must have been just something so much to look forward to.
Yeah, 100%.
The problem is, if that was my family, they'd say, "Daddy, could you go away again? Because we've been having a great time while you've been away."
Yeah, we're having a great time with Mum. She lets us have all the ice cream.
Yes. How's it been going back to work? What was the response from your unit like?
Yeah, really good. You know, all the boys tracked me. They did a lot of fundraising as well. So big up to all the boys at work. My current unit. So I'm at our basic training. So the engineers phase 2 is an instructor. So yeah, can't fault them enough. You know, CO come in, shook my hand, said everyone's been tracking you. You so made us very proud. So that was nice to hear all that. So yeah, work's been good. I mean, it's obviously a bit of not a downgrade, but a bit of a taking some readjustment, shall we say? You know, you go out there and your decisions are life and death, and then you come back to work and it's just not like that. So yeah, it's been interesting, but no, it's good to be back and see all the lads again.
Do you think your experience, because this really has set you up as a solo adventurer, not just solo, you could be a great team player as well, but you know, this is above and beyond. You've organized, you've fundraised, you've done the logistics, you've self-motivated, you put the effort in. You've got to a level in life that a lot of people from a career perspective would like to get to. How does that reflect now on how you think about your military future?
Yeah, you're right. It certainly has sort of set me up. But I don't think, you know, without the military, I wouldn't be where I am now. Chris, I never would have done the road without the sort of life lessons they told me. So yeah, it's an interesting one, mate. And certainly the way it sort of changed me is now, I mean, I was confident before, and I'm certainly not arrogant, but I think I look at challenges now, I think anything's possible, you know. I'm like, why don't I swim the Atlantic Ocean next? First person to ever swim it, you know, that would be pretty incredible, eh?
Yes, it certainly would. I mean, someone will do that because they'll just get a support boat, won't they, and hop on the boat.
Well, similar. You could do it like Ross Edgley. The only thing I would think, you know, in big seas, you might struggle to get back to where you started, you know.
Yes, of course. Sorry, mate. I'm just looking at our chat here, and we've got some great people in the chat. Friends, if you want to ask a question for Jack, write it now.
Quickly get it in, because we've got to shoot in about 5 minutes, haven't we?
Yes, we have. We've got to shoot because there's a cat stuck up a tree in Hamble. We'll be using all of our commando skills to get it down
go and grab it
safely. We will be making it a cup of tea and tucking it up safely in bed.
Yeah, mate, I've got a question. What did you think about the SAS documentary that was on?
Yes,
the Panorama.
Yes. Mate, I've just put a video out about it. There's so much to be said. So first of all, you know, we have to understand the mainstream media, what function that plays in this whole global matrix. If there's something in the media, it's there for a reason. It's not just this happened today. Bullshit. It's specifically leading life to a certain point. We've seen this hammering of our serving forces and our veterans. We've seen it with the Northern Ireland thing. The Australian SAS have been through it. My personal view is, if you commit a crime, you should face justice, right? If you're clever enough to get away with it, then you know, all not hats off to you, but you know what I mean. You know, you're not going to voluntarily go to prison, but you know, if somebody hurt my family in a conflict and it was I'd never forgive them, you know, and I know you. So for friends at home, what I'm trying to say is, like, I'm not one of these people that think just because you're in the military, you can do what the fuck you want to anybody.
No, mate, I totally agree. You know, we need to hold ourselves to the highest of standards.
Yes, exactly. What I would say is, going on this Panorama documentary, there clearly was evidence going back and forward in the unit itself to say, oh my God, what the hell is going on? You know, this is the 10th occasion where they've gone into a suspect's house. This is Afghanistan, folks, we're talking about. And the guy went behind a curtain and came out with a grenade, and it's worrying.
So my opinion on the documentary is, if they had the official report of all these incidents, why didn't they publish it? You know, if they had it, why didn't they publish it?
Yeah, what they're saying is from the military side of things, is they covered it up. That the higher command should have said something, which obviously they should. I always say to people, you know, before you start getting your ants in your pants or your knickers in a twit, like, this is war. It's fucking horrible. It is horrible. I would just say, in defense of the Special Air Service, of whom I know many members or former members, they're the people I know are wonderful human beings. I've read a lot of stuff on the Falklands particularly lately, because I've done a lot of podcasts with Falklands veterans, etc., and there was a massive focus in the Falklands on trying to let the Argentines off without having to kill them, right?
Yeah.
You know, giving them like giving them an avenue through which to surrender, because, like, if this really comes down to it, it's going to be a bloodbath, you know. And there's also, I mean, I've done podcasts, I have to be careful what I say here, but with people that have told me they had to make a decision when whether to execute prisoners. I don't mean that frivolous, like, oh, shall we? No, what I mean is, in the middle of a battle, when you've got this onslaught of people surrendering, and they've all got weapons, like, once they've gone behind you, and, you know, you point them in the direction of HQ and say, look, they're going to take your prisoner over. Yeah, great. But there were instances in the Falklands where the prisoners then turn around and use their weapons against the troops they just surrendered to. This happened, or Goose Green, the white flag was waved. I think the para officer was at an NCO, went forward to sort of take the surrender, and then they opened up on him, and they killed several of the parachute regiment. It was absolutely awful. And I just want to say, good credit to British troops. The amount of times I've read recently how they really, you know, conducted themselves with honor. But it's war, and people die in war. You've got young men all hyped up on adrenaline. You've got people that have played bloody Call of Duty that have been, you know, there's a whole range of factors in this sort of thing that probably go over the head of most casual spectators. Does that make sense, Jack?
Yeah, no, you know, I totally agree with you, mate. And you know, British soldiers, you know, need to hold themselves to the highest of standards. I just didn't like, just felt like it was on the documentary. I don't know, you know, it's so take what they did about the Battle of Danny Boy, and they cited Phil Shiner as a credible source. He's now in the dock facing charges of fraud for falsifying claims, you know, so his solicitor firm could make a load of money off the government, you know. So
yeah,
I just don't trust really that panorama. But
well, I mean, mate, you shouldn't trust mainstream media. The media is not for us. It doesn't like us. It doesn't respect it. It's there, you know, for a higher agenda. What I was going to say is, it didn't help that program that 75% of it was based on the Australian SAS,
Yeah, exactly.
And anyone that wasn't in the know would watch that program thinking that these are all UK SAS guys. Well, they weren't. They're talking about.
It was all Australian SAS footage.
Yeah,
100%. Totally agree.
Yeah.
And also, I have a lot of respect for the SAS. The Australian whistleblower. You know, he's gone out there and he said that wasn't right, and his face is in the public domain. You know, but the whistleblowers they had all didn't want to release their identity. You know, so it's easy to hide behind a screen. So yeah, fair play to him that blew the whistle, mate. Yeah. I think that's about time for us, isn't it? We've got to get that cat out of a tree.
Yeah, let's go and rescue that cat, and then we were going to help that old lady across the road, weren't we?
Exactly, mate. Exactly, Chris, mate. It's good to speak to you as always, buddy. Really appreciate it.
Jack, you're a legend.
We'll do this again as well, because I could speak to you for hours.
Oh, definitely. And we're going to do some talks about the Rockall expedition. That would be great.
Yeah.
To have you host me and pick my brains.
Yeah, definitely, mate.
Mate, I'm going to play us out. Leave the Zoom now. Don't you get up and go. Just say much love to you, Jack, and your family. Massive congratulations. You're an inspiration to me. You went above and beyond, and it's just incredible. Folks, if you can make a donation, if you want to follow Jack's media, the links will be below. If you can like and subscribe, that'd be wonderful. We'll see you all soon. Cheers, Jack.
Cheers, guys. Appreciate it. THRALL, mate.